All right. It seems we have most attendees connected at this moment. Welcome to first webinar dedicated to JAVAD mobile tools. We are going to have a series of webinars related to this application, and we call this webinars workshops. You can see details on our website every time that we are going to make these webinars, and follow us there. Subscribe on our newsletter to see these events. We are supposed to have a presentation and question session later after the presentation. Then whatever time we have, we will spend it for discussion the software. If you have any questions, you can raise a hand and we will give you the ability to speak if you have a microphone connected. If not, you can write questions to the chat. We will see this. Also, we have some questions already asked us during registration, and we will start from these questions first. Let me introduce Yuri Nayanov, who is a programmer who is leading the project of JAVAD Mobile Tools. And with my pleasure, please welcome him. Yuri, please start your event.
Thank you, Zhenya, very much. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Yuri Nayanov, a software engineer in JAVAD Mobile Tools group, JAVAD GNSS. And today I want to start first presentation about the product. I remember again about questions. Please use your questions page in control panel to type your questions to make the presentation more productive. We are trying to explain everything in 30 minutes, but of course it's impossible. So see this as the first series of webinars. So I'm switching to the presentation itself, and after that we will have a discussion, answer to your questions.
Today we are starting a series of online webinars about JAVAD mobile tools. There are several items to be discussed. I would like that these webinars to be of interest to both novice users and users who are already familiar with the software and JAVAD GNSS equipment. First, JMT introduction, versions, history, functions and so on. Second, explanation of user interface in JMT. Third, I want to show an example of simple survey work using JMT. Next, map tools, drawing on map, COGO on map. And the last item is to show extended survey technique JAVAD equipment can do. Now let's started. Initially, JAVAD Mobile Tools was created in 2013 as a tool to process data on NGS Opus server for Apple iPhones and iPad. Then, a year later, Android version appears. Now there are two versions of JAVAD Mobile Tools, version for iPhone, iPad and version for Android devices. The versions can be treated as a separate programs, they are purchased separately. And there are several differences in support of connection. For the several years of development, JAVAD Mobile Tools were added so many functions. Now it includes post-processing data collection, RTK survey and stakeout, configuration of receivers and radios, different background maps and coordinate system support, COGO functions, support of all JAVAD equipment. It has been developing by JAVAD GNSS for JAVAD GNSS. And tight integration with hardware and firmware groups. That's why it supports all methods and modes those equipment can do. This is even short list of such functionality. Now, let's switch back to versions. In addition to iPhone and Android versions, JMT can be purchased in two variants. Payable version, there you pay full price with Google or Play Store. It is named JAVAD Mobile Tools. and free version to easily install that works only with receivers OFF option has purchased. It is named JAVAD Mobile Tools for Authorized Receivers. Both versions are located in Google Play Market and Apple App Store. JAVAD Mobile Tools for Authorized Receivers is free. It can be downloaded and installed without credit card. It has the same functionality as payable version. It works with the same receivers the same way. It checks OFF option after receiver connection and limits functionality if no OFF. Without OFF, user can only connect receiver and update OFF or reconfigure receiver. You can purchase JAVAD Mobile Tools OFF option while ordering a new receiver, or upgrade existing receiver to this option from JAVAD GNSS website at any time. You will receive an OFF file to be loaded into the receiver. No sending receiver itself is required at all. As a bonus, the same OFF option works with JAVAD Mobile Tools for iPhone and for Android. Nevertheless, both variants are available. Customers who purchase JMT continues free updates. Both versions are released with the same functionality at the same time. JAVAD Mobile Tools can work with all range of JAVAD GNSS receivers with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Triumph 1M, Triumph 2, Triumph 3, Sigma, and Omega. Please note the Triumph 1M and Triumph 2 can be connected to iPhones and iPads only with Wi-Fi. Also, please note that Triumph 3 and Omega are required OFF option even to work with purchased version. JMT runs on many variants of controllers. And customer can select, does he want to carry a small standard smartphone to survey with just a click, or does he want to use a table with large screen to work with maps? Does he or she need keyboard? Or maybe he even wants to control survey with his wrist using JMT on watch. The new user interface are organized around your data. Those you can see on the map, 1. The list. You can quickly switch from map to point list. Now you can do all actions survey, stakeout, drawing, COGO computation directly on map. This is very useful because your data are spatial coordinates. Those are very useful to show on map around you to check their correctness. Also some useful to work with data as list. Previous user interface are saved. You select which interface you prefer to use with show menu at startup menu item, where you can select startup with menu or with map. Then you've selected menu, program starts with command menu as was before. So both variants are possible. And also you can switch to the new modern way to start from the map. JMT runs on different Android devices. It can be either small screen rugged phones very well fit to your pocket to simple control survey with one button click, or you prefer use large screen of rugged tablets to see full project map on the screen. It is not easy to place controls on such different screens. Solution is to customize screen controls for your device. Organize view screen helps in this. There you can set size of controls, hide unused controls. For example, if your workflow doesn't use codes, you can turn off codes control. And there you can switch from survey on map to survey without map. Then you do survey on device with large screen. Now even most phones have large screen, or you work on tablet, you would prefer survey on map. Otherwise, then you have a tiny screen device that is very good fit in your pocket, you can switch to do survey without map. Both variant are instantly possible. You can switch the setting anytime. In addition to organize view screen, you can use swipe gestures. Swipe down the text control reduces number of controls on the screen. And swipe up the control adds more controls to your survey screen. White rectangles, those we called additional views, show additional information you want to see and control the settings. For example, you can see elevation mask. And with click change elevation mask. Or click to hybrid RTK and activate it. And so on. Long click to the white rectangles let you choose item to see. It is possible to select from many variants. The selected item will be displayed in the white rectangle. There is also antenna button on the screen, so you can change anytime antenna settings. Most other survey settings can be changed with this button. Then user clicks it, he will see a list of settings. The settings can be organized in settings styles. The styles can be modified, user can create his own style. Styles can be quickly changed during survey by long pressing survey button and selection of style. Survey is controlled with big green circle button. It starts and stops surveying. Long press on it shows list of possible survey modes. Now let's choose point survey. To do survey, just short click this big green button to start survey. JMT stops survey automatically, then required epoch count will collected. The number of epochs are shown there. It's possible to use manual stop by second click of the button. On the map you can use different backgrounds: Google, Mapbox, OpenStreetMap or customer raster or vector data with DXFDWG. The selection is inside map provider screen. Let's see, user can select Google Maps with different layers, OpenStreetMap, Mapbox, or use map without background. It is very interesting feature CAD functionality inside JMT. We are going to explain this in more details later. Right now I will just show how to use it. Map tools are called with one button on the top of the screen. It will open the toolbox. There you will find drawing, measure, and COGO tools. For example, you can measure distance between points. Click 2 points on map and see result. Clicking more button to see additional information and to copy it into clipboard. Other tool lets you measure area and perimeter by clicking points on screen. For drawing you can combine points to form objects. Different color can be set for them. It is possible to set text notes on the map. Circles and arc can be drawn on the map. Other variants are possible. For example, you can type angel and distance to compute next point in the line. All other commands are called from this drop-down menu called from top left click. It includes all items of initial command menu. That is enough for first brief introduction into JMT user interface. It is intuitive enough. And you can find all the details in the built-in user manual. In this part, let's try to do simple survey with JMT. Quickie setup surveying set. Please note that all equipment can be brought in your pockets of a small backpack. Let's start from creating a new job. Job is your project that stores all data related to a job. We go to list of jobs and there press green circle button with plus to start a new job. There we can type new job name and a description. Coordinate system can be set in job to see all data in this coordinate system. We switch to list of favorite coordinate systems. Let's add new coordinate system to show the process. Again click to green plus button. And add system from the list. Open list of continents. Then Europe. Then select CS42 coordinate system zone 7. Click on it to select. A dialog with parameters of the system appears. There we can define vertical coordinate system by selecting a GeoID. Let's choose Global GeoID EGM 2008. Now press Add to Favorite button to store the coordinate system to list of favorites. It will be quickly available every next time. Press Apply to create the new job. Now let's connect to the receiver. Find it by Bluetooth and click to connect to.
Receivers connected.
Now let's start rover. Select RTK rover command. Create a new correction source where set up parameters to get corrections from. We are going to use Untrip server. So select new Untrip server. New Untrip correction source dialog appears. There we can set name for the correction source to save. Then select where internet from. Now we will use internet from the Android 3G. Further type server IP, server port. For mount point, let's click source table button where we can see list of mount points. Let's select one with RTCM3. Activate sending GGA to see your position on the server. There are several optional but significant parameters, auxiliary port and reference frame, that is useful for NAD83. So returning back to create the new correction source. The raw data logging is required. User can use log file button. There we can turn on logging to raw file on the receiver and enable base correction to be inserted into the file as well. To start receiver into RTK rover mode, click Start Rover button. Wait till confirmation message appears. Now we can return back to survey screen and wait fix solution. To get more information about correction, we can click correction icon on status bar. Corrections screen appeared. There we can see more information about correction and RTK base.
Fix ready.
Now let's go to check survey settings. Main settings are displayed on this button. Click on it, opens long list of survey settings. At first check accept solution type. Click expands additional filtering options. Next setting is occupation type. Let's set 10 epochs. Then turn off confirm point and activate 5 Hz mode. Let's set 5-second extrapolation. On multi-RTK. And on detect rover movement during survey. Check that reference frame is set to WGS84. Remote Bluetooth device control can be turned off. We are not going to use Bluetooth selfie sticks to start-stop surveying. And turn on compass data from receiver. We are ready to do survey. Walk to point, stay and set point name. And click big green button to start survey. After 10 epochs have collected, survey stopped.
Surveyed. Saved.
And we can go to next point. Repeat there. Click to start survey.
Surveyed. Saved.
So the process of surveying takes just couple of seconds. And surveyor can collect 1,000 points a day. But with JMT we can do much more. For each point, surveyor can add description, attach code, attach pictures and audio notes, and combine surveyed point into objects on map with text notes on map. So you bring in your job all information that you can collect in field. No paper sketches, no text notes are required more. And surveyor can export all the data immediately from the field with email or cloud or to a messenger. The main advance of GNSS is stakeout. JMT can stake out points, a long line and a surface. Let's do point stakeout. To do stakeout long, click big green button till menu appears. Select point stakeout. Import design points to be stakeout out from a text file. Then select a point as target. JMT shows line between your location and the target to navigate you to the target point. JMT can use the sun or your shadow to help navigate to target. On the top you can see distances and course to the point. Those let you quickly reach the point. You can use average mode to precisely check coordinate. Long click second circle button with some sign and select averaging on. In the averaging mode then JMT doesn't update position each epoch but shows last averaged values to let you analyze the distances to make next movement. Click to average button, measure average again. To deactivate averaging mode, long click the button again and select average off. Eventually you can mark the point on the ground and measure it to check and store differences. Next target point will be selected, and JMT will navigate you to the next target point. During stakeout you can select show target mode to scale map for both current position and target. Also bullseye view is available. There JMT will always show your position and target. The job has done. Let's pack our surveying set. See how easy and quickly it is. The next part of the video will be devoted to working on the map. On the map you can see tools frequently used in the field. You can do measuring, create and edit sketches on map, or edit surveyed points. To use a tool, click a button and select required tool. For example, to draw polyline, click button and select polyline tool. Blue circle on the button indicates on active mode and selected tool. And now you can draw polylines by clicking to map. Then a point or vertex will be clicked, their coordinates will be used. Yellow circle around the point indicates that attaching to the point is used. To finish drawing, click the button again. Blue circle will disappear. Clicking the button again will open toolbox to select a tool. All map tools items can be grouped into three parts: measuring tools, drawing tools, and computation tools. Measuring include three tools: distance, area and position. Then you click to a point or to a vertex of a line, the precise position of the item will be used. This allows to create a design point from vector map and then stake out it. Now let's see distance tool. Simply click to 2 points or to 2 positions to see distance between them. More button shows extended information and allows to copy to clipboard. Area and perimeter tool. The same, click to points or positions on map to see area and perimeter. More button lets combine points into object. Position tool. Clicking to position on map will show its coordinates. Clicking to a point or to a vertex will show coordinates of the object. Add design points lets create a design point from this position. Creation of graphic primitives allows you to complement the survey. Primitives such as line, arc, circle are supported. You can precisely define the parameters of the primitives using the bar at the top of the screen. So for a line it is possible to determine the length and angle, for a circle the center and radius. Draw objects can be selected by clicking on it. To select a circle, click to its center. Selected object can be deleted or edited. Use delete button to delete object. Use color button to change color of the selected object. Coordinate geometry tools help you compute design points on map. There are following tools available now: traverse, perpendicular, intersection and offset. Now let's see demo of traverse tool, where we type distance and bearing for the task. New design point has computed. We are working to add more COGO tools to map. Drawn objects can be viewed in list of points. Then you select drawings, you can see all drawn object in the list. In the list you can do several actions with each item. For example, view and edit drawings. Let's view a circle and polyline. All drawn object will be exported to CAD GIS formats, then export points plus drawing is selected. Text and line colors will be the same as in the application. In this chapter, we would like to tell you how to improve performance using JMT. Productivity can be increased in two ways: survey more points in time and waste less time due to errors. Some time surveyor spends a lot of time waiting fixed solution.
Fix ready.
Let's talk how to reach robust fixed solution. In general, then we can't get fixed solution for a long time, it is recommended to change satellite constellation in RTK. The easiest way to do this is to change elevation mask. That turn off low satellites, then increase the mask. Or increase count of satellites to decrease the mask. JMT allows to do this by a click. Otherwise, you can turn off or on satellite systems. Clicking to satellite and then menu, surveyor can control which satellite systems are tracking and which systems are used in RTK, as well as manage the tracking of individual satellite signals. By the way, you can select how JMT shows number of satellite in this dialog, or do the same in the settings. Then even all available systems are activated. JAVAD GNSS receivers can multiply them using multi-RTK. 4 or 6 RTK engines with different settings will run simultaneously. That increases fix probability. But it also increases probability of wrong fix. To prevent wrong fix, we can require 2 or 3 engines simultaneously to be fixed. This should eliminate the wrong fix. Okay, changes of elevation mask didn't help, turn off GLONASS didn't help, even multi-RTK didn't help. No fix. Or corrections totally lost. In such situation, hybrid RTK saves the job. Turn on hybrid RTK by settings a minimal time for raw file. JMT records raw files, then you stay on a point and waiting a fix. If the fix appears, OK, JMT saves the point. Otherwise, the point will be saved with temporary coordinates. Raw file for post-processing will be collected. After some time, then course data will be available. JMT can process the raw files on JAVAD POS and replace coordinates of the points to correct coordinates. Another variant is VBRTK. In this mode we set our own base station. That gives very short baseline and increase probability of fix a lot. But usually to start our own base a precise position is required. Not in VBRTK. You can start the RTK base from any open position. It starts collect raw data simultaneously with transmitting corrections to your rover. And while you survey many short RTK points with the rover, RTK base collected a long raw file for hours. Then JMT lets you download the file and using JAVAD depots and course stations compute precise coordinates of the RTK base. After the processing, JMT correct all rover points surveyed from this base to their precise coordinates. Job has done. But survey time are spent not only on waiting fix. Staying on point, pressing start, typing names also request time. A surveyor collects hundreds and even thousands points a day. JMT speed up the process. You can use remote Bluetooth control like a selfie stick paired to your controller to start and stop survey.
Surveyed. Saved.
With JMT this process can be accelerated more by using the lift and tilt survey. In this mode, just lift receiver vertically and the start surveying, tilt the receiver and JMT detects this and stop the survey, saving the point. No distraction to the controller screen and pressing buttons.
1, 2. Started. Ready. Surveyed. Saved.
Other type of time-saving survey is surveying of points there we can't put receiver antenna. These are building corners, fences, roofs, trees. Sometimes such objects are more 50% of the surveying objects. JMT has built-in feature offset survey. Following types of offset surveys are supported. The long axis offset. The long line. Distance offset. Perpendicular. And of course laser rangefinders with Bluetooth can be used for such mode. Bosch and Leica laser rangefinders with Bluetooth are supported. The rangefinders also can be used in Kogo tasks the same way. Another option for such points is just lean the tip of the pole with receiver and tilt it. Triumph 3 receiver has IMU that solves the task and compute coordinates of the tip. Another instrument that can be used with JMT is J-tip, a magnetic locator. Surveyors can use it to find a control point like metal rods and magnetic nails. From other side then we survey a precise topo base we should be absolutely sure in coordinates. Verify mode is useful for such work. In this mode each point is surveyed 3 times with reset RTK between the surveying. And then compare results to be sure no coordinate jumps exists. Then you work in a flat area and no large height differences are expected. Height filter can be activated to avoid coordinate jumps by height. Then height filter is activating a reference height and maximum height difference are set. All data with wrong heights will be rejected. An RTK other issue is corrections. Surveyor can use NTRIP servers to get correction from internet. Then surveyor want to use his own RTK base with internet. He need either static public IP SIM card or set up a computer with open public IP, install software like NetHub, configure it, and forward IP ports. Both tasks are complex enough. And JMT helps to solve this issue using GCO's service. This service allows surveyor easy configure his base and rover to transmit corrections from base to rover. The main reason of surveyor errors is coordinate system transformation. GPS works in WGS84, but results should be provided in local coordinate system. There exist special techniques to fit WGS84 coordinates to correct coordinates. At first, correct coordinate system should be selected. Please note that a coordinate system can have several transformations. A point converted with different transformations will have different values. Please check that correct transformation is selected. Then for height it is recommended to use a GeoID model. EGM 2008 is a good start point. But even then you can't match surveying coordinates to control points. We can use a trick named localization. It will fit your coordinates to required control coordinates. Localization can be done even by one pair of point. In that case it will just offset you coordinates to required. With 2 pairs of point it will also rotate your coordinates. With 3 pairs, it will rotate and scale your points to match control points. With 4 and more you can check residuals. But this theme is too large to be discussed as a part of. So let's put coordinate transformation with localization and other themes like volume computation and COGO, stakeout along line and surface stakeout, working with radio and many other items for a next webinar. JAVAD GNSS hardware and software has so many features to discuss. We are open to your questions. So let's switch to question part.
Okay, we have hand raised by Mike Sorensen, and I would start probably from his question that he already posted while registration. If he added anything, then please welcome to write down. Mike was asking, does real GMT support other brands or platform for GNSS equipment? This was the first question. And second one, is there any auto update for application software from any stores, web stores, Play stores, Google Play, and so on?
Thank you for question. JAVAD GNSS now the only hardware manufacturer that GMT supports. We support such external devices as rangefinders. We can exchange data with total stations, but for GNSS receivers, only JAVAD GNSS receivers are devices that work for. And about after update, we use Google Play Market and we use App Store for update of the application. It's easy to set settings for after update in these programs, and your JAVAD mobile tools will update automatically. Then it will appear on the market.
Okay, let's go then for other questions, and then I will back to Mike probably. Andrei Antonov is asking, do you have any plans for emulator in GMT to have ability to represent application to somebody for support reasons without any hardware?
Yes, I think it's a good feature for demonstrations from dealers to customers or to work with documents. I think we can add the feature in the next versions.
Okay, Brian Green has a couple of questions to you. How to connect Triumph 2 to iOS mobile tools on the iPhone? And the second question, what are some tips or I think it's kind of best practice to use mobile tools with iOS?
Thank you for questions. We have version for iPhone and iPad. It works mostly with Triumph 2. And to connect to Triumph 2, we can use Wi-Fi. There are all Triumph 2 from factory are preset to be connected to JAVAD mobile tools. The settings are remain after update of firmware or cleaning the RAM. But if you lost the settings anyway, you can set up with either with NetView and modem desktop software, or use Android device to connect with Bluetooth and with one button click reconnect it to iOS devices. Then you run iOS version, you can see on the top help, and then you click it, you will see the detailed instruction how to set up Triumph 2 or Triumph 1 for iPhone. And the second question was best practice.
Yeah, just I think he was interested in how to, what is the probably best way to use it. I think it's a general question.
The version of JAVAD mobile tools for iPhone and iPad is slightly different in user interface. We are going to unify the user interface from iOS version and with Android versions. Nevertheless, it has the same functionality. You can connect with Wi-Fi and you can start your rover and survey. It's not easy to explain this into words. What's the practice? But Wi-Fi that we use for connection is robust enough to and fast enough to download files from the receivers to process it on DPoS or Opus service and to work with RTK as a TK rover. Maybe we will include in the next webinar, because it's not easy to explain all the items in short explanation.
Okay, Matasaim Hanafi has a question about support Triumph VS or Triumph LS by GMT. I actually answered already that it's none of them is supported, but I don't know, Yuri, can you comment that? Because the reason of supported devices is LS and VS have actually their own user interface.
Yes, Eugene, I agree with you. I see no sense to support such device with already built-in excellent software. And if you want to remotely control it, you can use RAMS application when you can run on your mobile device, connect to this receiver, and control it without GMT.
Yeah, we had a question already asked about DTM import formats the previous session that we have earlier for the Europe. And also Michael Gluting is asking about kind of demonstration or just workflow that you can show auditorium how to make surface staking. We will combine these two questions, I guess.
Okay, let me answer. GMT includes surface takeout feature. For this, TIN structures can be used as a target. The data can be imported either from LandXML, TIN mesh, triangle mesh, or from DXF WGS format from AutoCAD, also including triangles in TIN structure. Another variant is to import points in any format that GMT supports into target for surface takeout, and GMT triangulate it and build the same mesh of triangles. Then it can be used for surface takeout. Okay, it's good to have additional items for next webinars to explain the feature in more details with more demonstrations.
Probably we have to mention what the level of features that we have in this DTM surveying, because this question arises already. So
Okay,
just...
for DTM surveying, we can use only surface takeout. We can compute volume in COGA, but we could not compare DTM. We could not subtract one DTM from another or visualize it. The feature are not implemented in GMT yet. Only surface takeout.
And height difference, right?
Yes, only height difference in surface takeout.
All right, let's. I have 4 more questions that we already asked while we ask any questions that posted in this chat. Ken Swindle is asking, what is the best practice for using GMT in the real time, not 83 network?
Sorry, Jim, could you repeat?
The question is about VRS, I guess. What is the best practice of using GMT software for real-time NAT 83 network?
There are two items in the questions. One is to using VRS, and another is to using NAT 83. The first is to feed VRS results into our RTK. It can be, the VRS can include other manufacturer equipment, and in that case, JAVAD receivers has many settings, many tuned settings. But the settings is better to set up with low-level setup scripts or use NetView software. Another items is NAD 83, because there are a lot of stations inside United States transmit data not in WGS or TRF, but in NAT 83. And to fix this, GMT includes setting for base stations and for over. There you can set so-called reference frame. It can be set to N83, and the GMT will understand what the corrections goes from that coordinate system and convert result position to a TRF. So we should be careful with the settings to get precise coordinate in RTK. Then you run your own base and your own rover. The setting is not significant because you can use the same setting of base and rover, and you will receive correct coordinates. But then you use a third-party station like VRS or other base stations, you should know and should indicate in which reference frame the base station is working and set this information to the rover. Another items in use VRS is VRS that transmit coordinate systems correction inside RTCM-free corrections. Our receivers also has such possibility to correctly understand the data. You can use the same settings reference frame. There you can set RTCM-free. After that, receiver will get corrections of coordinate system and apply it inside receiver firmware, and you will get not just, for example, latitude, longitude, but east and nothing coordinates already applied with the corrections. The theme is also big enough. It's also interesting for American surveyors, for Europe surveyors, and I also note to add it to next webinar. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah, David Stilwell is asking, we need more clarity of when GS84 and origin indicate when looking at the point properties, what chords are being displayed.
Okay, thank you for the questions too. That's corresponding to the previous questions. Then base station transmit not in TRF but WGS84, but in other coordinate systems. GMT stores both data from the base stations in WGS and original coordinate system, for example, in NID 83. And for each point, you can switch the coordinates by the page, by the pane to see the coordinates either in original coordinate system that transmit from the RTK base or in the WGS84 coordinate system converted by GMT. The same variants also available then corrections with coordinate system applied into RTCM3 RTK corrections. In that case, you can also see not one coordinate, but two or even three coordinate for each surveyed point. GMT stores all the data, and then you export your data to a text format. You can select to export the data in separate fields. But default, of course, GMT works in WGS84 coordinate system. But then an additional data available from base station, GMT tries to store the data. So yes, it also will be included. So the theme is big, yes. Working with the course with 94, another coordinate system transmitted with RTK bases.
Okay, we have Bill College question. He is reporting to you, I would say. Sometimes when I have plenty of satellites, I am unable to get fixed solution. Also yesterday crashing at stakeout, he's saying. Maybe you, in terms of this question, probably give us status of bug fixing.
Okay. We constantly improve our software and our firmware, and of course bugs can appear because we use different controllers. We can run in different conditions. Then you have plenty satellites but didn't have fixed solution. It's a problem. As I said, in the presentation, and show several abilities to fix the problem. To solve precisely your case, we need information which firmware, which receiver, and after that we can understand the reason of the problem. About crashing in JAVAD mobile tools, it's very useful. Then every crash will be sent to developer. Various settings inside Android send information to developer. It's very useful for us. Then we get such a report. We immediately see the line of code the crash appears, and we can fix it in a couple of minutes. Without information, we need a discussion, we need information about the crash. So I ask everybody to send crash information to me, to Google. That helps us a lot.
Okay, Mike Soros, and if you have any question to ask for by microphone, by audio, just raise a hand again and I will let you know. So far we have two other questions from Andrei Antonov and James Lynch. Let's start from the first one. Whether it will be possible to save corrections from the base station in a separate file for applying them to work with networks of base stations using messages, RTCA messages actually, 1021, 1023, 1025, and others, such as GeoSpider does, which is software like, okay.
That's questions mostly for firmware engineers. Of course, it's possible to save. But what's the problem to have in the same file? What's the reason to save the correction into separate file? Both our post-processing software like Justin and Geodis and Depose also can handle the file more useful than the information from rover and from base are safe in one file. If you're talking about the feature to apply the settings after survey, I think the reason of the question is it. For example, Leica stores such information and can apply the correction into survey point after survey. From my point of view, it's most useful to use firmware corrections inside firmware. Then firmware attach the corrections to coordinates. So of course it's possible to implement such functionality, but I see no big advance after such enough parts of works.
Probably Andrei can clarify a little bit this purpose.
Let's open the question inside the question answer systems to other engineers can see this to discuss and to find the best solution for your case.
All right, James Lynch, who asked about what the level of iOS and Android versions, which you answered actually already by the numbers, but I think he meant mostly are these two versions match to each other? Is there features that Android has, are they completely supported in iOS and vice versa?
Okay, thank you, Eugene, and thank you for the question. Initially, iOS started the first version and has the most functionality. Then Android version has more and more functionality, and because now real rugged devices are available only for Android, we spend more efforts and more time for Android versions. But we are not going to close or degrade iOS version as well. Now, yes, it has less functions inside, but we are going to add and unify all functionality between iOS and Android, and also we are going to add a specific function that that Apple hardware has, like using Apple Watch, like using LiDARs inside, using augmented reality. It's a big advance for Apple platform. I'm not sure what they will have the same functionality because the hardware is different, but at least the same surveying functionality we are going to have in both versions. And yes, now we have to improve iOS versions to have the same functions that Android version has.
And Andrei is asking, do you have any plans to support CAD files with large DXF format size to be loaded into JAVAD mobile tools and give ability to select layers there?
Thank you, Andrei. We already did some for this. We added layers in the beta versions, but for large DXF files, it's problems with small devices like smartphones, especially for older devices with old Android that doesn't have OpenGL latest versions. That's why we limited now the size of DXF files. It's not a problem to remove the limit, but this causes crashes in all the devices. So we will think about how to maybe set the limit different for different devices, depends on their abilities. And of course, we are going to extend the feature. We updated the libraries that use with DXF.
Yeah, thank you, Yura. Is anybody has any questions? Andrei? Yeah, Andrei is asking again. Are you planning to add a mode for stakeout points along with poll tip for receivers with IMU integrated? Which actually we have Triumph 3 right now. So this was probably a favorite question for you on this moment, Yura.
I did not understand this precisely. Maybe understanding this wrong.
It's a question about are you going to support IMU receivers for the stakeout points mode?
If we are talking about Triumph 3 and Omega, the receivers that have IMUs, yes, in the latest release support GMT supports using IMU in that receivers for surveying, and also next improvement in IMU will also appear in GMT. Yes, of course, we are planning support IMU in all variants.
And you're saying I'm asking about stakeout at tip of poll. He mentioned on the Leica Captivate.
Well, Leica Captivate is a big software. It has many functionality. Right? It's not precisely clear for me that I said. Maybe Andrei asking about stakeout with using IMU.
Yeah, that's what he has mentioned. And as far as I understand, the tip of poll means that you just stake out it with the Triumph 3. That's what I'm saying about Triumph 3, which supports IMU.
It all depends on the hardware. If hardware will have such functionality, of course, GMT immediately supports it. Now IMU in Triumph 3 uses for swinging in stakeout to survey inaccessible points as I show in the presentation, you can swing the pole and measure tip of the pole. Then it will able to use it for stakeout. GMT will support. Right now, such functionality doesn't exist in MU, but RTK group constantly improve functionality of the firmware. Let's look to the future.
Yeah, the question about multi-engines, the receivers that we have will be possible to configure GNSS system for each engine in GMT software.
If it will be such grace commands, we will add such functions. Right now, such commands exist only in firmware inside Triumph LS. Triumph 1M, Triumph 2, and Triumph 3. Triumph 2 and Triumph 1M doesn't have such commands, doesn't have such firmware. What's about Triumph 3? Let's look. Then a new version of firmware appears. So it's possible that a new version of firmware will be available. Right now, it's not possible.
Okay, Dell Maxfield is asking about the next webinar. What's going to be presented on next workshop? Here.
Thank you for the questions. And now I'm thinking about this because I inserted everything in short terms in these presentations, and now collecting information what is interesting for other for people. I see using with various is interesting parts. I see what stakeout is interesting. So maybe the next presentation will be shorter but more concrete. It would be great to receive reply what items are interested for our customers, for our dealers, and so on, and then prepare next webinar.
Probably, Dell, if you can tell us right now what you're expecting to see there, it would be useful to know. Please continue to ask questions. Brian Green is going to tell us something. Yeah, Brian.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm really new to the JAVAD mobile tools. I had tried to connect to my phone about a year ago with the Triumph 2 unsuccessfully, and then with us getting busy as engineers, it was kind of on the back burner again because we have a Triumph LS that we normally use. I recently started trying to connect again, and I can connect to my iPad, which is older, but I cannot connect to my iPhone. I think it's an iPhone 11 Max or whatever they call it, but it's got the newest iOS on it. Is there any known problems with the new iOS not being able to connect to mobile tools, or is this something that I'm missing? As far as I know, the settings are exactly the same on my iPad and my iPhone, but one will connect and one will not.
I don't know about problems with existing iOS versions and the JAVAD mobile tools. We have problems with latest firmware some years ago. Then you have to update your firmware to use correct Wi-Fi functionality. Maybe we create equations inside our equation systems, and you attach TeamViewer G support to the device, and we will start to configure both your iPhone and your Triumph to see the reason of the problems. But I use the latest version with iPhone 10 at least, and we didn't find problems, so it's the configuration should be investigated to fix the issue.
In other words, Brian, it seems there are no incompatibility in iOS. So probably, yeah, you just need to connect to you directly. And using this chance, I just want to say that we have our standard question system on the website. You need to register and post your question. And we have support java.com forum, which our end users widely use for exchanging their opinions, share information of best practice, and resolve issues which let them kind of quick way to control their status of fixing their problems, and we can connect them and talk either in thread or in private mode. So usually in some cases when there are serious problems exist, like probably you experience right now, we actually prefer to communicate over the support java.com forum because it looks like it's more handy than the question system that we have on the website.
Yes, sir. I thank you so much. And this webinar has been great. I look forward to using the mobile tools in the future, so we actually have 2 rovers out in the field instead of just 1. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Right, any other questions? That's Andre is asking, do we need to have a kind of transparent message after upgrade of application that explains difference between previous version and new version to see kind of new features implemented and guide probably users to use it immediately?
I think the feature already inserted, so each version has at least brief explanation of new feature. And so Andrei asking something about difference, but I could not understand what, because Andrei is also in very close touch with our company, and he knows new features even before they have released it. But all information are inside files, what's new for each version of firmware, for each version of the JAVAD mobile tools. You can see on the Play Market before you install it.
You see, Andre is asking more a little bit. He's trying to wanted to see videos or GIF animated pictures which demonstrates new features for customer. I think this is mostly a question to support portals, right, and or links that can be accessible from handheld device directly, because it's obvious that we cannot put video materials into the application that we built and updated. Please confirm that.
For Tracy, you can remember we have course of learning movies. Maybe we will do the same for JAVAD mobile tools. You know, your company already have such materials inside of your website. But of course, then it will be prepared by JAVAD GNSS and share it, it will be good. It all depends of our abilities to create such materials, because everybody agree what we need with. We have many such materials from Sean Billing, from other PLS about LS device and G-Field software and new features. So maybe some materials about GMT and the functionality of our hardware and software will also appear in that form.
you, Andrei, mostly thought about built-in help or videos into the application, but I don't think you are going to plan to input this into application itself. Just links, it's right, but
it's a good idea. Yes, we have built-in the user manual, and then we will have videos on YouTube. It's easy enough to insert links into the application and see it and call it inside the application itself. Yes, thank you for the idea.
and we have a couple more questions. Is there any way to dump settings and RTCM to a text file? I mean, exporting. Ken Swindle is asking us. You actually.
Thank you. This question is close to Andrew questions about it. Now the RTCM data are inside receiver itself. So we can only output the data and row it inside a raw data file. We didn't plan to export the RTCM data as a separate file, but to do this at first, I have to discuss with firmware group to find a way to do this. So right now I don't know this way, but you can wrap the data inside the raw data file, and then firmware group has ability to unwrap it, process it with their own programs, and analyze it.
Okay, Del Maxwell is interesting. He says it. Any plans there for short videos or other video materials in English in our YouTube channel related to GMT software? Can you share the plans?
That I said, we had a lot of plans to do this, but then we will do any such material, we immediately put it into our YouTube channel, of course. Like the webinar will be put, like a webinar from Intergeo has already put. So it all depends on the ability to produce that material.
I can only add that yeah, we have a plan. We actually supposed to have short videos, which kind of a series of explanatory about any application that we have in the company to users. And this webinars is additional to these materials will be. But you know, we started from what we started. We have these webinars, and we're gonna have plans to have short videos. All right. We have a couple more minutes, I guess. Is any other questions that somebody forgot to ask us? Well, it seems no questions. I'll give you last chance. Thank you everyone who joined this webinar. Then we will see you on the next webinar. I think it's we are having plans to issue webinars monthly. So the next one is not defined yet what related to. But please watch us news on our website. See all materials and ask any questions over every possible channels that are available to you. Website, forums, probably somebody have email support, so supports for supporting a mail list or even direct connection if anyone have. And thank you so much everyone who joined this meeting again, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you everybody who visited us.
Yeah.
Thank you for your questions.
And-
It will help us to improve the software.
And of course, Yura, thank you so much to you, and we have a good event, I guess.
Thank you, Eugene, also for such support.
Okay, you're welcome. Goodbye, guys.